Hello, my name is Dimes Johnson. I'm a project management consultant. I'm going to talk to us about project management, actually the network diagram for critical paths. So I'll be talking to us on how we can determine the project completion on time, and also the work phase, which forms the activities. And we'll also talk about duration of all those activities. I'll talk about those activities which are interconnected of different parts. You have several parts connected together to achieve the same goal. So project is broken down into activities. And the connection of those activities that are called project network. So it's this connection of all these activities all together that are called project network. So every activity has duration, which is also known as a timeline. So if you do not complete the activities, it will extend the time limit, which can actually, influence cost, time, and even quality. So critical path is the longest part on the diagram and also the shortest time to finish the project, because you can't afford to lose one day out of all those days. There's no slack time for it. So out of these days of the critical part, you cannot afford to lose any day. If not, it will extend the project and it will eventually extend the timeline. So today we'll be talking about let me show some things that we're going to do. Okay, we'll run this as an example of activities that we can actually use. In this activity log, we have design, we have build prototype, we have evaluate equipment, we have test prototype, we have write equipment reports, write method reports, write final reports. So what will be our question here is to construct the network diagram and also to determine the critical paths and determine the project completion time. So we won't talk much about the total slack time for each activity actually, because our major focus here is on the critical path and the completion time of each activities and on the whole activities altogether. So quickly, we'll just talk briefly about some things that this project network entails, so that we'll have better understanding of what we are going to learn. So we'll talk about activities. Activity is a certain amount of work required in the project. A certain amount of work required in the project. So we have lots of stakeholders doing the project. We have a lot of workers that comes in and out. We have project team as well that works on the site. So there are a lot of personnel that come around to work. We have plumber, like bricklayer, like a civil engineer, but all these people work under the supervision of a project manager. So critical activity, that's the amount that has no room for scheduled slippage. That is, the critical part that you can't afford to have one day, slack on it, because it will affect all the timeline and the entire timeline for the project. So if it slips, the entire project completion will slip. It is an activity with zero slack, yeah. So we have dummy activities, an activity that consume no time, but shows precedence among activities. Consume no time at all, but it still falls within activities. We have critical part is the change of critical activities in a project. The longest part through the network, it determines the length of a project, determines the entire length of the project. That's the critical part. Then we have event. This is the beginning and the completion point within the project. So an activity begins and ends its event, and it is usually represented by a circle 0. That's an event. Then we have the slack. The slack is the amount of time that an activity or a group of activities can slip without causing a delay in the completion of the project. Produces activity, an activity that must occur before another. That must occur before another, like A must occur before B, B must occur before C, and things like that. Successor activity, an activity that must occur after another activity. B must occur after activity A. When a foundation is placed on the floor, activity B is to actually, start setting blocks and things like that. So there are some activities that must occur after, another activity. It's called successor activity. So we have been able to learn some of the, critical things that we should know, that we must know within just to get our thing done. So quickly, I will take us to the page now. Okay. So we'll have our example. That's an example. Okay, let's take this as an example. Let's use it as an example of what we're going to learn today. And we have different activities. I will open on to, okay, I can use Word, but let me use CorelDRAW. Let me use CorelDRAW. So let's look at the first activity. Let's look at the first activity. The first activity is design. The first activity is design, and it takes 21 days to do that. It doesn't have predecessor. It's the first activity. The first activity A is design, and it takes 21 days to do that. So let's quickly go, let's draw, let's do it like this, 21. So here is activity A. Activity A. A, and it's 21 days. Activity A for 21 days. Let's enlarge it to, let's say, 48 so that it will be clearer. Okay, we have activity A for 21 days. Now, let's look at the next activity. The next activity is build prototype. That is activity B. The designation is B, build prototype. Build prototype. Now, it must come, B comes just after A, because this is the predecessor. Predecessor is A. B is the activity that comes after activity A, and it takes 4 days. It takes 4 days. So let's look at that. Let's look at activity B. Activity B. B. How many days? I think it's 4 days. 4 days. That's activity B. Now let's draw our line. It is very important that we draw our line to show the direction of. Now we must put an arrow. Okay. We draw an arrow for that. Now let's put an arrow on it. So that's an arrow on it. So activity B follows activity A, and it takes just 4 days to do that. So let's look at the next activity. The next activity says evaluate equipment. That is C. Now, evaluate equipment happens immediately after activity A. And look at the second activity, which is build prototype, also come after activity A. So that means these two, B and C, come after activity A. So let's draw a diagram. Let's draw a diagram towards that. So this is activity C, and let's draw our arrow. Now, where is it pointing to? Pointing to that place. Now, what's the duration of that activity? C, 7 days. The duration is 7 days. So we'll put 7 days there. That's activity C now. 7 days. So that is done. So we are making progress. We're making progress. Okay. Put activity C here. Okay, 7 days, sorry. Let me check. We removed it that time. Activity C is 7 days. 7 days. So we are making progress now. Now, quickly, let's go to the next activity. Let's go to the next activity. The next activity is activity E. Write equipment report. Write equipment report. But activity E happens immediately we finish C and D. Immediately we finish activity C and D. So we begin activity E. So let's quickly go there. C and D produce E. C and D produce E. So let's put E here. Put E here. You can see now C and D produce E. You can see activity D is E. E. How many days? Let's check. Activity E, how many days? 5 days. So it is 5 days. So activity E, that's the event that happened just after we finish activity C and D. C and D together, then we have E. Now let's move on to activity F. Activity F. Activity F also happens just immediately after we finish activity C and D. If you can see activity E, which write equipment report, started immediately after we finish C and D. And C and D are evaluate equipment, test, prototype. Immediately E and F started after C and D finished. So let's look at activity F after C and D, and it's 8. The duration is 8 days. The duration is 8 days. Activity F, let's put it here. Finish immediately just after C and D. Okay, let's now how many days? Let's look at the duration. That's activity F. 8 days. 8 days. The duration is 8 days. So we'll put F here and 8 days. F and 8 days. So activity remains just one activity now to go. Let's look at it. What is the last activity? The last activity to write final report, which is activity G. The definition is G, to write final report, and that finish. We get that after E and F. After E and this is the predecessor after E and F, and it's just within 2 days. After E and F, we produce G. After E and F, so let's put G here. Let's put G here. That's G. Days. Now we are through with our network diagram. We are through with our network diagram. Now, what do you need to do now? Let's look at the first question. The first question is construct the network diagram, which we have done. Determine the critical part. Let's determine the critical part now. Determine the part now. So to determine the critical part, we look at the part one after the other. The first one is A, B, D, E, G. A, B, D, E, G. So I already have it here. I'll just show it to us. No, I'll pick it out here. Then we'll talk about it. So this is it. Then I will be showing to us all the critical parts. This is the critical part A, B, D, E, and what? And G. A, B, D, and G. So that's the first critical part. That's the first critical part. That's the first critical part. So we'll put it on red. Now we'll look at the second critical part. Second critical part. The second part, sorry, the second part. Let me bring it back to we have D here. Okay. Then the second part is A, B, D, F, G. A, B, D, F, G. There's A, B, D, F, G. So this is the second part. Now, this is the second part, and we already have it here. A, B, F, G. So I will just highlight it or just change the color to red. A, B, D, F, G. So quickly I return the color back to white so we can use it for another part. Now, another part we have is A, C, E, G. Do you agree with me? Okay, let's go through it. Let's go through it. Let's go through it. Let me show us the part. You can see A to C here, then C to E, then E to G. Can you see now? That's another part. We'll calculate it later. So let me just highlight this one. A, C, E, G. A, C, E, G. Now let me bring it back to white. Let me change back to white so that so another part is A, let's put a lighter, A, C, F, and G. That's another part entirely. Can you see that? A to C, C to F, F to G. That means A plus C plus F plus G. That is another part entirely. That is another part entirely. So what I will do now here is to just highlight it. I will highlight it now to red. Now all we need now is to start one after the other. Now A is what? 20 plus B is what? 4 plus D is what? 2 E is what? 5 and the last one is 2, which is G. 2. We'll calculate it later. A is what? 21 plus B is what? 4 plus 4 then plus F plus F. What is F? F is 8. No, plus D, sorry. D is 2 plus F, which is 8 plus 2. equals to, let's quickly go to the other one. A 21. I hope you know how we got 21. 21 is the factor for A here, is the duration day, the number of days for the event of A. For that activity A, it takes 21 days to finish. Activities B takes 4 days to finish. Activities D take 2 days to finish. Activity E takes 5 days to finish. Then G takes 2 days to finish, so and so on like that. So this is, we are just putting the figures down, and so 21 plus C. What is C? 7. 21 plus 7. E. What is E? E is 5. 21 plus 7 plus 5. G, 2. 21 plus 7 plus 5 plus 2 is equal to, we'll calculate that later. Then lastly, A is 21. C is 7. L is 8. Then G is 2. Now we'll add them after the other now. One after the other, we'll add them together to know our critical part. So 21 plus 4, that's 25, plus 7, 27, plus 5, 32, plus 2 gives us what? 34. 34. Finish that part is 34 days. So let's add this one together. 21 plus 4, that's 25, plus 8, 27, plus 8, 35, plus 2, 37. So 37 days for this part, 37, 7 days. So let's add up this. How many days will it take us? 21 plus 7, that's 28, plus 5, 33, plus 2, 35. This now, so let's look at the last. Let's look at the last part. 21 plus 7, that's 28. 28 plus 8, 36 plus 2, 38. So from here, we can know our critical part. So what is our critical part now? According to the, let's look at it, according to the definition, it said the critical part, the chain of critical activities in a project, the longest part through the network. It determines the length of a project. So the length of this project, because it's the longest, that means the length of this project altogether is what? Is 38 days. Length of this project is what? Is 38 days. So this whole project is going to take 38 days to finish. And as it is, no day should be taken away from this day, or no day should be added to it, because once there's a a default in once you add one more day to any activity, will affect the entire project. If it is activity A that you added one more day to make it 22 days, it will affect the entire project. It will take the project to 39 days, in which the timeline of this project is supposed to be what? 38 days. Supposed to be 38 days. So this is, so we have been able to calculate. So this is our critical part now. The part that is most critical, that does not contain any slack, is the most critical part. It does not contain any slack. You can't remove one day, you can't add one day to it. So we have been able to draw our network diagram to determine our critical part. Then the next question is determine the critical part. Then the third one is determine the project completion time. So the project completion time is what? Is still 38 days. The project completion time is 38 days. So this is how to calculate, different activities in a project. When you get to site as a project manager or as a site, supervisor, and you are given a task to supervise the workers on site. So all you need to do is to get the duration of each activity and put them together to know which one comes first and the one that follows, to know the predecessor and successor, and to also determine the length of the project, to determine the length of the project, which is the critical part. So my name is Dempsey Johnson. Kindly like our page, kindly subscribe to our page. This is given to us free. So please kindly subscribe to our page. And as you do that, we'll be glad, as we move ahead. Thank you so much. We expect you in another lecture, maybe in project management or construction project management. Thank you. Bye.